Hello everyone, my name is Antonia Villa and this is my presentation for EDL 952 Module 12 Case Study Black Lives Matter. I'll begin with summarizing the case, and it was on a Friday. Local Black Lives Matter activists organized a protest just a few blocks from the high school. The protest was organized during a block of time when schools were dismissed and rush hour was ending. Tensions were high, parents were frustrated with the protesters and angry with the city for allowing the protest to take place at a busy intersection near the school. Traffic was a mess and school buses were trapped in the gridlock. We have Miss Simmons, who is the assistant superintendent. She did notice this. She also was thinking of, what tension, what this tension is going to do to all the parents and all the students. And she ended up having to take a different route to get home, and which made her just be arrive at her home 30 minutes later than what she usually does. Monday morning comes around and she's called to the high school. There we have students who are wearing t-shirts with the words "All Lives Matter" and a few with t-shirts stating "Black Lives Matter." Ms. Simmons could feel the tension, but through the reading of the case study, I didn't ever come across anything that stated that the learning environment was being disrupted. So as far as we know, everything's going. Sure, there's tension around, but there are no signs of any kind of argument or anyone getting out of hand. Ms. Simmons Ms. Simmons sees this as an opportunity to engage students in a conversation about the protest and racism in the local community. When Ms. Simmons mentions a desire to raise these issues to the superintendent and the high school principal, she was discouraged and told to just stick to the academics. Later that afternoon, Ms. Simmons decided to ignore her colleagues' advice. And once again, I'll state that maybe we just don't have enough information, but as far as I could tell, sure, we have parents who are upset, they're frustrated, we have community members, I'm sure, upset, but within what we can try to control within our school buildings, at the high school there weren't any issues besides, students wearing the attire that could be offensive. Legal or ethical issues. Physically, no one has been physically harmed. Emotionally, there is a lot of tension both with parents and some students, but no one is breaking the law with the protest that is going on a few blocks from the school. The protest is not taking place in the school, it is blocks away from the school. Monday morning, we have students wearing Black Lives Matter shirts, and we have other students who are wearing All Lives Matter attire. As I mentioned earlier, there are no signs of any issues between the students. Everyone is wearing the attire they feel like best states their opinion. If anything like this was to ever happen in Elkhart, I would refer back to our school board policy, and I would look through section JGECA. I did that yesterday, and it's interesting what's in there. It's very helpful. Alrighty, we'll go back to a little bit more of the summarizing. No one has been physically harmed. Sure, there's tension. Parents are upset. Students are voicing their opinions, but not verbally. It's on a t-shirt. At this time, no one is breaking the law with the protest that is going on a few blocks from the school. All the appropriate paperwork was filled out. Alrighty, so then Monday morning comes around, and again we've got the students with the attire that states Black Lives Matter, and the other students with the attire of that states All Lives Matter. This can be a concern because if things start, if the wording on the T-shirts is starting to cause a disruption in the learning environment, then that's where I would refer to my board policy. This one I would refer to JCDB, and it states that the students must dress in a manner that is not obscene, offensive, or disruptive to the learning environment. So, but nothing is brought out about this within the reading that we had. Alrighty, so going back to this school board policy, section JCDB, it states once again that the students must dress in a manner that is not obscene, offensive, or disruptive to the learning environment. If I was the principal of that high school, I would make sure that supervision was all around, and I would make sure that once there was some kind of disruption due to what the words on the T-shirts, then I would bring the students in. But until then, I would just let things just calm themselves down. Alrighty, so on Friday, as I stated earlier, we have the protest that's going on a few blocks from the school. We have a lot of mixed emotions, a lot of frustration within the parents, and I'm sure the students, they sense the frustration, and they, at that age, high school age, they have developed their own opinions by now. And then Monday, once again, Miss Simmons is called to the high school, so she can just take notice of the different wordings on the different T-shirts. Yes, she could feel the tension, but once again, I'll go back to there's no sign of any disruption within the hallways or in the classrooms yet. So she did ask the superintendent and the building principal, if maybe this would be a good time to engage students in a conversation about the protest and about the racism in the local community. Both of them discouraged her, and she went ahead and went on. It doesn't say what all exactly she did, but it said that later that afternoon she chose to ignore her colleagues, which I don't find that very appropriate. Alright, so the facts are we have people wearing, we have students, because that's what we can control, is what's happening in our building. So we have the students with the T-shirts. It took place at the high school. As far as we know, there's no programs that have been affected. The reading did not have that. Now within the city, sure, we have the protesters, but they also, according to the case study, they also did what they were supposed to do, and they had the right paperwork turned in. Everything was in order to have a protest. The place, it wasn't on school grounds. It was a few blocks from the high school. Probably not the most convenient place, but it is not on school grounds. Program, as far as I know, the only thing that's being affected is the traffic's not flowing as usual. Okay, but once again, nothing is happening at the school. Alrighty. Miss Simmons decided to ignore her colleagues' advice, and I feel that could cause a lot of damage with all of our stakeholders. I feel like she's making a decision based on the emotions she's feeling at that time and not thinking through everything. I would also like to share that I don't feel that there's enough information. I don't know if she's going forth without the approval of her superintendent and building principal. I do know that she needs to have some buy-in from the staff. So there's not enough information there. Or she could just be gathering the information and then perhaps presenting it to the high school principal and superintendent at a later time. Perhaps after she presents the superintendent and the principal, then maybe they'll make a decision on how to go about the new curriculum and the guidelines for the student and teacher handbook. Excuse me. If there are guidelines that will be put in place in the student and teacher handbooks, here at USD 218, we can't just do that. We present it to the superintendent then presents it to the board, and excuse me, the board will approve or not approve the changes. So it's not something that we can just decide to do and then go ahead and make changes to our handbooks. That's not how it works here. All right, options. The first option here is what I would recommend. Option 1 would be to wait until the protest is over. Wait until everybody's cooled down. Wait until we have all the facts. Wait until we have teacher and staff and student stakeholders buy-in. Okay, so option number 1, I would present the information to the staff. I would present the curriculum ideas to the students, but I would definitely wait until the protest is over, and that way it can help emotions settle and stakeholders are able to make more sound decisions. The proper procedures are put into place when deciding on a curriculum. When deciding on a curriculum change, I would recommend that before any type of curriculum is brought forth, that you include your committee members. Here at USD 18, that's how, if we're going to bring in a new curriculum, we allow the different teachers that teach within that department to look through the resources that we provide for them, and then they decide as a team, as a department, what curriculum is best for our schools. The other thing that I would do is I would keep supervision extra tight, and if no disruption to the learning environment is being made, if there's no reason to bring anything to the student's attention, then I wouldn't. Maybe they'll just wear those t-shirts for that day or maybe 2 days, but that is a way they're expressing themselves. As long as they can do it in a calm and respectful manner, I don't feel there's anything wrong with that. If there is a disruption to the learning environment due to the t-shirts, then at that time is whenever I would pull out my student handbook, and along with the board policy, which can be located in JCE, and I would share with my students, and this is what our policy states: the district is committed to maintaining a working and learning environment free from discrimination, insult, intimidation, or harassment due to race, color, religion, sex, age, national origin, or disability. Again, in the case study, the information that we have, there's nothing that is said about any kind of issues besides students are wearing these t-shirts. There's not anything that states or even close to stating. I would say yes, you can sense the tension, but there's tension. There's tension every day. There's tension even during a ball game. But we can't just assume that we need to make changes right then and there. Now, option number 2 is, present something now and it could cause more harm. I feel this option has not been thought through. Ms. Simmons has been advised to stick to academics, and not doing so opens up many opportunities for a learning disruption within the district. If we bring something in right now with emotions the way they are, I don't know if we'd have the right buy-in. I don't know if we'd even have any buy-in. I don't even know if the emotions would allow stakeholders to make the appropriate decisions. So I would implement option 1. I would start with following the procedures when adopting a new curriculum. At USD 218, as I mentioned earlier, we have committees. The committee members pick various curriculums to research, and this is how we get our teachers to buy into the curriculum that we're trying to buy. We give them a voice, and the more they're heard, the more they're going to buy into the new idea or the new goal we're trying to reach. Meetings take place to decide on which curriculum they would like to recommend to the building principal. Then the building principal presents it to the superintendent. The superintendent then presents it to the school board. So it's a process. It's not something that someone can just think of and say, hey, we're doing this. That's not how we do things at USC 218, and I would hope that's not how I am expected to do things at a district when I become superintendent. Alrighty, so CLO 3.1 and 3.2 and 3.3 have been posted, but I would again state that I will go back to implementing option 1, and I would follow the procedures on adopting a new curriculum, and that way we can have better buy-in at the time when everyone's emotions are a little bit more settled. But right now, making a choice, and then especially if you don't have the approval of your superintendent, plus honestly the buy-in of the high school principal, I just find it very unethical to go on and start trying to implement something on your own. That's beyond me. I don't understand that. I think there is a lack of professionalism there. So anyway, I would highly encourage option 1, and thank you, and happy holidays.